Greetings, everybody. Good morning. We are on Eastern Standard Time. This is Therese W, your chapter director for Startup Grind in Jacksonville, Florida. We are going strong this week with our marketing and podcast bootcamp to prepare for our podcast pitch battle on August the 28th. If you have not attended this week, you're missing a treat. So be sure to share this opportunity with your networks, with your business owners, with those startups, with those organizations who are needing to know the latest marketing strategies for this year and how to capitalize on podcasting to see if it's a good fit for you and your organization to stay relevant with your current clients, garner new clients, generate new leads, and new resources for your organization and business. As I stated earlier this week, we had some amazing news that Google for Startups is bringing their Sales Academy virtually to Florida. The registration deadline was August the 18th for those that wanted to participate. And I'm quite sure, I don't know if you still have an opportunity to do so since it's the next following day, but I would highly encourage you to do so to join our chapter for free. We send this information out through our newsletters because we get them in between hosting our events. So we want to make sure you stay informed and stay connected. Hi, Emily.
Hello, how are you?
Great, great, great. Just going over some few announcements.
Mhm.
Next month we're having our North America Summit. It's on September the 15th. That's globally. So those of you that want to check out startups around the globe, see which ones we need to be on the lookout for with the latest innovations, that is an event you don't want to miss. After this, our pitch battle is over with on August the 28th. That registration event will go live on our chapter website for you to register with us to be able to participate. So make sure you share and you stay connected because we send out a bunch of resources and content and opportunities through our newsletter. So without a further ado, we're going to let Miss Emily Hammond take us on to day 4 of the Marketing Matters Marketing and Podcast Bootcamp. Thank you, Emily.
Thank you so much. And yes, we are almost coming to a close here. We have today, which is going to be talking about algorithm proof social media. And then tomorrow we're going to be talking about blogging and email. Saturday is ending off with our Q&A. So we are almost done. So this is going to be very exciting. All these tools you can use to help you with your pitch battle day on August 28th, and also just in general. All these tips are always in style, they're always useful. So that's why we like to promote this kind of stuff, because we want you to be as successful as possible. So let's get into it. Let me share my screen with you, and we're going to jump into social media. So please have your questions ready, and we will answer those and address them as we go along. All right, let me share my screen. Hope everybody's doing well this morning. All right. Now let me know if you see that list once again. All right, so looks like we're good. So once again, I always start off with this because it just gives you a breakdown of everything that we're working towards. So we've already covered branding, we've already covered websites. Today is going to be social media. Tomorrow is blogging and email. We're going to talk about those both in conjunction. And then we've already talked about podcasting. So all of these pieces, they are in a specific order. So when you have these and you put them together, it sets you up for a really, really, really successful marketing plan. So we have those additional ones, memberships, courses, and videos, like I always say, but those are just those extra pieces. But the essential ones are typically the first 6, because those give you that whole package of everything that you should be covering in your marketing in some way. So let's go to the next slide. This is always something that I do at the beginning. I just say hello if there's any new people out there. My name is Emily. I've been in marketing and podcasting for about 5-6 years. So it's, just so crazy to see the things that have come along these past years and how we've progressed as an industry in marketing and also podcasting. So yeah, it's just very exciting to be a part of this. And we've got our signature green on there. I'm wearing a kind of a variation of that color today. So we're going to the next one. Okay, So starting off, jumping right in, we are talking about social media is the gateway, not the knowledge source. It's a eclectic, non-intrusive, unsalesy gateway to get people to your website. Social media does not serve as your website. So that's a very important thing. Social media is not your portfolio. Social media is social media. It's to share things. It's to encourage people, hey, go to this. It's kind of a stepping stone for the next thing that's to come, which is your website or your blog or, those kind of things. Like if you send an email, you want people to go somewhere or you want people to get something out of it that takes them somewhere else. So that's a very important thing to note. I know a lot of people say, oh, I run my business only off of Instagram or only off of Facebook. Hey, that's fantastic when you're starting out and you don't really have that extra money for a website or for, that extra branding package or things that you might need as you progress along and you're getting more profit. But you want to make sure that you are being intentional about how you're using social media because it can be it can kind of be make or break. If you use it the wrong way, it doesn't have its intended, outcomes that you want, and it won't really turn out the way that you expect it to. So just keep that in mind. Social media is not your website. Know your demographics. This is such an important one. I know people throw around the word demographics all the time. Demographics, oh, who is it? All this stuff. But to be honest, 74% of all internet users have a social media account. So of that 74%, if you're not targeting the right people of that group, then it's not going to be as effective as you want it to be. You want to figure out who your ideal client and your target market is. So that's researching who are they? What are their age ranges? What are they interested in? What's their background? All of those key pieces. And you want to think about social media, like I said, as that place that directs you somewhere else. So when you are creating your social media plan and all that, you want to create stuff that's going to draw people's attention of the people that you're trying to reach and then lead them to that other source. Let's go to the next one. Know your psychographics. Does anybody know what psychographics are? You probably do. But if you know what it is, give me an example of one in the chat. Let's see if we get any responses here. Psychographics, just to give you a little background, this is more lifestyle, location. So location is more of a demographic, but lifestyle and values and those intrinsic things are more of your psychographics. So for instance, if you look up psychographics, it shows you the values, opinions, attitudes, interests, lifestyles, personalities, those kind of things. More of that personality and the personal side to the person. So what they value, what they're gonna, spend their money on, those kinds of things that they invest in, their time, that kind of thing. So good answers there. And another thing about psychographics is that you can adjust these as your business grows. So, when you're going through the early stages, your target market and your demographics and psychographics are going to be different than when you're progressing in your business. So you always can adjust those and it's never a set in stone thing. You can always be learning what your customer likes, who gravitates towards your product or service, and learn from that. Use social media for what you are already good at. Don't let social media use you. It's a tool. So make sure that what you're posting is something that you're proud of, something that you say, I made this, or I did this, or this is a product that we have that works, that we know is great. Putting something like a client feedback or a comment from somebody, or highlighting if somebody shared your post, putting that up on there as well, that gives you that credibility to say, this is what we're good at, this is what we know. And then those things that you are still figuring out in your business, as you start to get better and better at those, then you can share that stuff. Use social media for what you are already doing and what you are already good at. That's basically reiterating that same idea of you don't have to promote these things that are so out of the box or reinvent the wheel or try and put out some amazing new idea. You just want to make sure that you're promoting the talent and the value that you're providing. So it doesn't have to be some miraculous new invention or anything, but as long as you're providing something for somebody that's going to solve their problems and to make their life better, then you're going to be using it correctly. Fill a void or do it better. So what do you do on a daily basis? What do you love to do in your business and what do your customers love that you do? So when you're trying to fill a void, like if there's a product out there and you're saying, okay, well, we have a product that's similar and we're going to try and fill that void. So let's say somebody's product is more expensive than yours. Maybe yours is cheaper and it provides similar results. So you're either doing it better or you're filling that void for a different price point. There's lots of different ways that you can promote what you do for other people. Same thing goes with services. Everybody has so many different types of businesses out there, so many different service types, and the industries within those are, you could have a car repair shop and you could have totally different customer base than the one down the street. So keeping those in mind that you are, you have that niche, you're different, and you have those things that make you, I guess, a better option for somebody who's not going to go to one of. The next thing is to use the right tools. So we have different tools in our Pro Toolkit. So when we shared that link with you yesterday, hopefully you guys signed up for that and looked up the tools and kind of browsed through there and played around with a couple of things we have. And one of the things that we like to do is schedule our social media posts. And this is something that we developed when we developed the Absolute Marketing Method to make it easier and more attainable to achieve posting on social media. Because social media is a lot of work. It's so much work if you sit down and do, a little bit every single day. But when we do it in a day with our clients, we sit down, we make sure that we address all the things that they want. We will make sure that they have that the agenda in their mind that gets executed. So you don't have to worry about it for the rest of the year. You'll spend one day with us, and then the rest of the year you are good to go, and you can post as you please. So make sure to take another look at that toolkit that we have so that you can take advantage of some of those things that we use. A picture is worth 1,000 likes. You want to emotionally connect with your audience. That is a key part of social media. It's connecting, it's social networking, it's connecting with other people who are using the platform, whether it's a stay-at-home mom who needs your, product line for her kids, or if it's a business owner who needs coaching services. It's so diverse, and you want to make sure that you have photographs that show that emotion and show that care of what you're wanting to convey to them. Some good resources for that are Pexels, Death to the Stock, Unsplash, and similar websites like that have great options for stock photos that will match your brand. So another important thing is to say, going back to that branding thing Elizabeth was talking about at the start of the week, you've got photos that can match your brand, like the option that she showed with Joanna Gaines in a stock photo, how it looks so similar because of the branding and how they chose the photo. Research is a huge thing, because if you don't know what people are wanting to see, or then you're probably not going to have a good idea of what to share with people, and they're probably not going to look at it. So take into account demographics, what appeals to people, who's your target, all of those key things that we just mentioned in your research, because a lot of it is kind of the boring stuff, I guess you could say. It's not just all the pretty colors and all of the fun videos that you get to post or edit or things like that. It's the research. It's knowing what to post and why you're posting it. The next thing to do is plan. So when you're planning out things, you can use things like Throwback Thursday, Women Crush Wednesday, They think there's like National Taco Day or something. So there's like all these crazy holidays and things that you can use to make it fun and fit for your brand. I think there's avocado toast day now even. So there's different things that you can do to kind of make it fun and make it light to, within those posts of the different things that you're trying to convey to people, showing a stock photo and then explaining, what your services are. In addition to all that business stuff, you want to make sure you're making it fun and personal for people. Okay. And then we've got scheduling. So scheduling is such a hard thing for people because they're like, I don't know where to post. I don't know what to do, when, where, how often, why, who, what, all those different things. And so I want you to, this is interactive part here. I want you to close your eyes. Okay. Everybody got their eyes closed? Imagine your neediest friend said, I need to talk. How often could you handle that kind of attention to give to that? Once a day, once a week, once every few weeks, once a month, every 6 months? Social media is your neediest friend. You want to make a plan. You want to say 6 months in a day, 2 weeks in a day. You want to make a plan so that it's attainable for you to be able to put energy into that. And it's different for everybody. But in the absolute marketing method, the reason that we created it this way is so that people can take back their time and not be stressing about it. So you've got to find a plan that works for you and stick to it. So make sure that you're making yourself an attainable goal. Because if you set unrealistic expectations for yourself and then feel disappointed, then it's going to make you more stressed. And then you're going to say, I'm not being consistent. And so you want to make a plan that's attainable for you. Oh, we are already at the end. All right. So questions. Let's get some questions in here. Let's see if anybody's commenting. I don't see any as of yet. But yeah, I mean, that was super quick. Oh my goodness, I didn't even realize how quick that went. So, how does podcasting connect with social media? Great question. There are so many ways you can connect podcasting with social media. Even if you look at people who are veteran podcasters, if you will, they will have clips of an episode. Somebody recently just posted on LinkedIn and Instagram these different little clips of different guests that they had. There was a video and then there was just an audio, and there's little promos that you can connect those in all sorts of ways. It's just making sure that you can kind of plan out that time to organize that content. Got another question. Do you time the release of your podcasts within the day, morning versus night? So you can schedule your podcasts as well. It depends on what kind of hosting service that you are using. We have the one in our toolkit, Captivate. We love them. They're great. You can time the release. You can post it whenever you want. If you want to post it at 9:15 every morning or 9:15 every week, or whenever you do your podcast, you can do that. Then you can also post it at a moment's notice so that it goes out directly when you finish it. Hopefully that answers your question. Let's see if we've got any other questions here. How can college students use social media and podcasting during their academic journey? Like I was saying yesterday, you can use it in all sorts of ways. Social media, like I said, is a place to direct people to other things like your website, or if you have a blog, which is also hosted on a website. You want to make sure that you're, presenting yourself in a way that later you're also not going to be like, oh, wow, I posted that. So using those social media responsibly and podcasting as well, being careful of what you say is an important thing. As a college student, you may not think that something would, come back to be a bad comment, or, anything that's, maybe not maybe not looked upon or favored in a certain light, but you want to make sure you're being responsible with social media. You can use it, you can have fun, but also if you're, people who are looking for people to hire, so employers, they will go and look at your social media sometimes. So keeping that in mind as well. And in the things that you use it for promoting yourself and your abilities, I would say to have like a mix of things, show you as a person and also show fun projects that you're working on, and then a little bit of business thrown in there as well. Same goes for podcasting. Got some more questions. In terms of the needy friend plan, do you have clients who use the time frame as long as 6 months as opposed to weekly? So I'm not sure exactly what you're meaning. If you could be slightly more specific, that would be super helpful. Maybe I'm just not reading it right, but if you could be a little more specific. We have another question. How can nonprofits and churches leverage social media and podcasting during this pandemic? This is one question that I love because a lot of churches now are starting podcasts. And it's great because sometimes they'll have a show, a church that I was a part of recently, and they had this podcast in their youth group, and they brought together a couple of their people to lead this podcast, and they'll talk about different topics. They'll talk about what's happening in the church, different ways they can be active in the community, and nonprofits as well. If a podcast, then you can be sharing about your mission and for donations. There's always people out there that are wanting to help others, especially if you have a specific type of nonprofit within a certain area or industry, then you want to promote that to people to say, hey, come and donate. And once again, the podcast will also lead people to the website, to the blog, to your social, all those things that are pointing back to your main area of information. Do you include social media platforms on your podcast pitch for speaking opportunities? So you can include your social media platforms in your podcast one sheet. That is something that some people will ask for depending on whose podcast you're applying to. Sometimes they'll ask you for Instagram only. Sometimes it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, pretty much every social networking platform out there. But for speaking opportunities, I would say using that same format of your one sheet, you can include your social media. Most people will ask for that. So yes, I would say yes. So let me see. You mentioned that one can only allocate enough energy that the host can allow, and you give a varied time frame between daily to 6 months. And I was curious if you have clients who only dedicate a very small percentage to their marketing or are successful over a long period of time. So with us, we do a 5-day plan with people, and they'll come to our office. Sometimes people need 1 day or 2 days or 3 days. And so we will sit with them for those 5 days, and we will plan out their marketing for the year. So in that process, we are making sure that they get everything done that they need to get done. And that is from your branding, your website, social media, blog, email, podcasting, and all of those other things. And we've also used this on ourselves. So it's kind of that thing where you make yourself the guinea pig and you make sure that it works before you give it to somebody else. And that's sort of what we did with the Pod Scout as well, because we didn't want to give something to someone that wasn't actually going to follow through with the results. So we tested it on ourselves, kind of put it in beta, if you will. And we wanted to make sure that when we were giving this to our clients, hey, this actually works. Hey, this is going to be good for you. And the same thing with the 5-day marketing plan, where we've recently added podcasting. It can be tailored to each person. Some people already have a brand. Sometimes they have a fantastic website, but they know nothing about email, and they're like, please help us. We don't know what to do. So there's all those different areas where we can tailor it to people, which is really nice. In your toolkit, what are the first tools we need to start with for our marketing and podcasting journey? Honestly, they're all great. There's so many different ones. Recently in the Pod Scout one, I've added some new ones tools that I just use just every day, not even necessarily related to business. And so my sister and I have the Absolute Marketing Toolkit and the Pod Scout Toolkit. They have different things in them. So you might look at them and see some similar programs, but they actually have very different things. She has a set of stuff that she mainly uses and that we use for Absolute Marketing, but the Pod Scout has a bunch of different ones in it that I've added as well. So I would say just look in there and see for what your needs are. If you need something for podcasting, there's little, I guess you could say categories, and I think you can sort them as well by podcasting, blogging, email marketing, that kind of thing. One thing I do recommend, it's just a little tiny thing that simplifies. If you're somebody who copy and pastes a lot, or you have things that you need to be using a lot, like let's say it's your email or, your website or something, there's this app for your laptop called Pasta, and it just sits at the top of your laptop, and you can copy things and save them in this little board. So I have like my brand colors, my email, my website, all these other things that I need to be using daily, but we never think about it. We just have to, we either put it in a note or we put it somewhere else, and it's helped to save a lot of time because I have it in that little section just to pull from. So, have any other questions? For a new business or startup, does podcasting help with customer lead generation or other marketing strategies? Yes. Podcasting builds your credibility a ton, and the more podcasts that you appear on, even if it appears to have a low, I guess, audience, maybe 30 people, 50 people, compared to like a million subscribers to that podcast, it can still make the difference because with smaller groups of people, there's typically more engagement, which you think is opposite, right? But the more people you have, the less of your core people that you have. The same goes for your email list as well. The smaller your email list is, the more engagement you're going to get because those people have probably spoken to you personally, or you've met them somewhere, or they have that kind of connection to you. So, yes, podcasting does help with customer lead generation and other marketing strategies, like for social media, putting those podcast clips out for your website, drawing it back to that. If you're a nonprofit, going there for donations, that kind of thing. One other question: what has been a really surprising thing that you've learned from your clients in the past year of marketing? Honestly, I think the lack of consistency. People don't really keep up with their social media, or even if they have a blog, or people haven't updated their website in like 6 or 7 years, and there's so many new things out there now, new billing systems and, all these different things that they need to be successful, and we're like, "Oh, like, we can help you with this. It's only gonna take, 1 day, 2 days," whatever they decide they need, and they're almost just like they've been doing it for so long the same way that once it's done, they realize it's so much easier, and they were, kind of doing it the hard way with all of this older technology, and so it's been such a blessing to be able to help those people and to say, "Here's an easier system," because a lot of people have, bits and pieces of the right stuff. They just don't have it in the right order or the right place. So being able to help people organize and prioritize everything they need has been such a great opportunity. Another question. Thank you guys for these questions. What about repurposing older content for podcasting? So let's see. So repurposing older content as far as old podcasts, or are you talking about like for emails, or like, I mean, you can repurpose your content. Typically with a podcast, sometimes people do those, like old TV shows used to do the review episode, or taking a look back. You can kind of compile your funny memories or moments from different shows. Certainly you can do that. So I think that's, definitely if you would like to. How often do you need to refresh marketing strategy? We typically say once a year so that you can, because once you plan out that year of content, people either say, okay, I've got it now, I'm set, I'm good to go, and they go on their way because we've trained them and we've helped them. But then sometimes people will come back and, I need your help again. I need another year of social media. I need, another year of email marketing, or I need to redo my website. So depending on the kind of person that you are, whether you're a DIYer or if you are somebody who wants to work with us or another agency, it's important to look at it and do like quarterly check-ins with yourself. Is stuff working? Do you see that you're making progress? So definitely quarterly check-ins, see how you're going, see how your process is. And then if you work with an agency like us or somebody else, I would say yearly. Let's see. All right. I mean, I think we are think we're good to go. Do we have any more questions? This one's been good. There's lots of good engagement and lots of great questions I hope will help people.
Awesome, Emily. I really enjoyed that. That was amazing. One of my team
Thank you.
members was excited that it was social media day because that's one of his roles. And
Yeah.
we worked on putting together a social media calendar where he did an awesome job, Gabriel, and he makes sure the team is accountable and know when to post. So in doing that, in the posting schedule, how important is the social media algorithm to know when your followers are actually reading your posts? Does that play an influence on how you plan your schedule for social media?
So, I mean, it does. If you want to have a successful plan of, your social media, I think it's important to focus on your organic reactions. What are people responding to, rather than does it get this many likes? But the engagement rate is honestly way more important. Somebody asked me the other day, they were like, "Well, what about the percentage of, likes versus clicks?" You
Mm-hmm.
want somebody to click on it. Because if it has your website or if it has, a podcast or if it's a video, videos are great because people, I click on videos all the time and people will say, well, engagement, like I understand, but also if I get a million likes, but if you got 2% engagement, the million likes is just, it's going to kind of boost you up there because more people are viewing it. And, like LinkedIn and Instagram, the algorithm will kind of push it up because it is getting attention. But likes in the end don't really matter, and that's why it's like so disheartening when people say, oh, we bought likes. I'm like, no, 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 like you do, like no, like you don't want to do that because you want that engagement and you don't want to have to like make people think that they're engaging. You want people to just do that, and by buying likes it just doesn't do anything. I'm like, no, 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 like don't, that's not a good strategy.
Okay, you done came across a new term, buying likes. You mean people paying for people to like their
Hmm.
stuff? Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah, or like even if you do an ad, sometimes there's like, you know, a certain level that you have to go before the algorithm will accept it, if you will. So it's not necessarily because you buy an ad, it's going to be up there. Because once you take that ad down or you stop paying, it's going to go all the way to the bottom.
Wow. Amazing.
Hmm.
Well, I am
Yeah.
so thankful for your expertise and your knowledge. I've learned something every day this week. By the way, those of you that have not done your homework, I have done my homework. Have you done your podcast pitch? Have you gotten your information together so you can be position yourself to be a speaker, possibly be a host of your podcast? If you have not done so, you need to go back and check out the replay from yesterday that's on the Startup Grind Local YouTube channel for you to catch up so you can be able to position yourself and get ready for the podcast pitch battle. Make sure you spread the word. You don't want to miss this opportunity, including some of my team members. I've encouraged them to create their own podcast because they're in college, and this pandemic has caused a lot of college students to have to reimagine what school looks like. So I think that would be a great podcast for them to talk about their journey and experience, or either audio chronicleize their experience of dealing with the pandemic, have to do internships differently. Can't do in person. You have to do something virtually. So, Emily, any final words, any thoughts, any homeworks for everyone to get ready for tomorrow?
I would say, did one thought did come to me, like we were talking yesterday about podcast one sheets. I would say as you're doing your pitch, once you finish that, keep it very short, 2 to 3 sentences, three at the max. Make sure that you're like really challenge yourself because it's hard, but also use a thesaurus because if you have a word in there that could be elevated, and make it sound much nicer, or if you've got lots of words in there, use the thesaurus because it's full of stuff that you can use to make it sound better. And that's a little trick that I use. It's just, use the dictionary, the thesaurus, because it helps you think of other words that you don't typically use, but that sound nice when you're doing that. And then build your one sheet. So once your podcast pitch is done, build your one sheet, and you can send it to me if you'd like, and I'll give you some tips on how to organize it. So
Awesome. So, where are they sending the the pitches in the one sheet to? How can they send them to you?
I can put my email in here, the Pod Scout email, and then everybody can submit one, and I'll say, "Hey, good job," or alter the sentence just a little bit. So I'll put this here, and then you can send it in to me. A good thing to do would be to do your pitch and then build your one sheet, and then send that piece. Then I can have a look at the whole thing to make sure it looks cohesive and everything's together.
Sounds like a plan. Well, you heard it here first at Startup Grind Jacksonville, our local chapter with the global reach. We have been enjoying all this week, every day, with Emily Hammond of the Pod Scout, the queen of podcasting, and her amazing sister Elizabeth with the Absolute Marketing, helping us sharpen our saw, update our marketing plan and strategy, even though this is also part of our business plan. I love the fact that your sister said now that they're using one-page business plans now. I'm so glad because I used to have to write them and I hated all those multiple pages. But it's good to know.
Yeah, it's so much easier now too because people are, they can just put it on one page and it's you can see everything, and that's another important thing too. You can even write like a business plan for your podcast, if you want, so that you can kind of have those goals and ideas in mind. So, good
See,
idea.
that is amazing. See, this is why we have to get the education because as our entrepreneur ecosystem evolve, we have to evolve with it. We can't stay in a discontinuous state. We have to evolve. So thank you for letting us know we need to sharpen our saw every year with our marketing plan, leveraging podcasting, especially for churches and nonprofits, so they can be able to maximize current clients, promote, probably possibly fundraise through their
Hmm.
podcast to make sure
Yeah,
to
and
support.
sponsors as well. That's a huge thing. Sometimes people look at, the different avenues that you're promoting your nonprofit through or your church, and that's a great way to get sponsors as well.
Sounds good. Well, we are getting ready. We got homework to do, guys. So make sure you do your homework and be ready on tomorrow. So what's our topic for tomorrow, Emily?
Our topic for tomorrow is blogging and email marketing. So that is going to be Elizabeth presenting. So you're going to be with her tomorrow, hanging out with her. And then Saturday we have our Q&A. It's about a 20-30 minute Q&A just to wrap up some questions for preparing for August 28th. August 28th, right?
Yes, 28th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be doing it virtually. We're going to have the beautiful Emily Hammond as one of our judges. Also, possibly two more, just waiting on final confirmations, talking to some of them today so we can have a very diverse platform. And just want to drop a nugget. We see and hear NASA go to space all the time and they learn about all these different technologies that they either created in space or either at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. So imagine your business being able to use some of that NASA technology that they are developing. You didn't know that was possible, did you? See, that's why you got to be in the room. I learned this a couple of months ago that they have bring the technology down to us to use as business owners. And they have a program to help us be able to do that. So we will learn more on August the 28th. And it doesn't matter what your industry is, you can capitalize on using NASA technology. So thank you, Emily, for today. Thank everyone for listening or who's going to watch the replay. Don't stay for the replay. You need to be live. The engagement is amazing because Emily is answering those questions. So I thank you for your time. Thank everyone for listening. Don't forget, do your homework. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.